So if you have ever felt tired because you see too much, please do not try to see less. The world needs people who can hold pain and beauty at the same time. Your awareness is not a sickness, it is just a muscle that never learned to rest. You know that feeling when you are in a room full of people laughing, and suddenly you notice something is wrong. Nobody else sees it. But you do. You feel the fake smile. You hear the hidden sadness in someone's joke. You catch the way their eyes drift to the door every few seconds, and for a moment, you feel completely alone. Not because no one is there, but because you are the only one who noticed. That is not paranoia. That is not anxiety. That is hyper-awareness. And here is the uncomfortable truth nobody tells you. The more you see, the more you suffer. But not because the world is dark, because you have never been taught what to do with all that seeing. No one gave you a manual for a brain that never stops connecting dots. Stay with me for the next 20 minutes, because by the end you will stop asking, "Why am I so aware?" and start asking a much more useful question. What do I do with this so it does not destroy my peace? Let me describe someone. See if this feels familiar. You walk into a cafe. Within 10 seconds you notice the barista is stressed. Not because she said anything, but because her breathing is shallow. She keeps glancing at the clock. Her smile does not reach her eyes. She keeps touching her neck, which psychologists call a self-soothing gesture. Your friend says, "I'm fine." But you hear the pause before the word fine. You see the way they hold their phone too tightly. You notice they did not ask how you are, which they always do. You feel the shift before they even know it themselves. You cannot turn it off. At night, your mind replays conversations, not to judge others, to understand them, to figure out what they really meant. You lie in bed at 2 a.m. and suddenly you realize why someone said that one thing 6 hours ago. And it all makes sense, but now you cannot sleep. Most people live on the surface. You live 3 floors below. And sometimes you wish you could move back up. You wish you could be the person who just hears, "I'm fine," and thinks, "Okay." But you cannot. Once you have seen the basement of human behavior, you cannot unsee it. This is the psychology of people who are too aware, and if you are one of them, you have already noticed something strange. The more you understand human behavior, the harder it becomes to enjoy simple things. Small talk feels painful. Crowds feel loud, even when they are quiet. You are not judging anyone. You are just exhausted from all the invisible information. Why? Let us go to the research. And let me show you the 3 traps you fall into every single day. Psychologists call it pattern recognition sensitivity. Some brains are wired to find connections faster than others. This is not a disorder. It is a difference in how your brain filters reality. In ancient times, this kept you alive. You heard a rustle in the bushes. Others kept walking. You stopped. You listened. You survived. Your brain was rewarded for noticing what others missed. But today, that same brain finds patterns in social situations, in relationships, in work politics. You see the lie before it is finished. You see the manipulation before it starts. You see the breakup coming 3 months before the couple admits it. Research from the University of Toronto found that people with higher sensitivity to patterns also report higher levels of social fatigue. Not because they are weak, because their brains process twice as much information in the same social setting. Think about the last time you were in a group. Someone told a story. Everyone laughed. But you noticed the storyteller changed one small detail. A date, a name, the order of events. Nobody else caught it. You did. Now here is the pain. You do not say anything, because if you do, you look suspicious. You look like you are overthinking. Someone might even say, "Why do you always analyze everything?" So you stay quiet. And slowly, You start to feel like an outsider in every room. Let me give you a real example. Sarah, a client I once spoke with, said she stopped going to family dinners, not because she does not love her family, because she noticed her sister's fake laugh. And once she noticed it, she could not stop hearing it. Every joke, every story, that fake laugh. It made her angry, but she knew she could not say anything, so she just stopped showing up. Why does this matter to you right now? Because you have probably started to isolate yourself, not because you hate people, but because being around them feels like work. Your brain is constantly solving puzzles no one else sees. You are not antisocial. You are oversocial. You see so much that your brain never gets a break. This is the first trap of the too-aware person. You mistake your pattern recognition for proof that everyone is fake. But that is not true. You are just seeing the behind the scenes of human behavior. And no one taught you that behind the scenes is always messy. Always. Even in the healthiest relationships. Carl Jung said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. Your irritation is not a sign that others are wrong. It is a sign that your brain is working overtime. And overtime, every day, kills the machine." Let me tell you about a study from UCLA. Researchers found that people who accurately read negative emotions in others also reported higher levels of loneliness. Not because they were rejected, because they predicted rejection before it happened. You see someone's mood shift. You assume it is about you. You pull back first, then they pull back, and you think, "See, I was right." But you were not right. You created it. Carl Jung once wrote, "Loneliness does not come from having no people around you, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to you. That is the real pain. It is not that you are alone. It is that when you try to explain what you see, people look at you like you are crazy. Or worse, they get defensive. Because no one likes being seen that clearly. Imagine you are at dinner. Your partner says, "You seem quiet." You want to say, "I am quiet because I noticed your boss texted you at 9 p.m. and you sighed when you read it, and now you are pretending everything is fine, but your leg is shaking under the table. Also, you have not looked me in the eye for the last 10 minutes, and you keep glancing at your phone like you are waiting for bad news." You do not say that. You say, "I'm just tired." Because saying the truth would be too much. It would sound like an accusation. It would make you look controlling or paranoid, so you swallow it. Again, and again, and again. Here is another situation. You are at work. A colleague gets praised for an idea you gave them last week. Everyone claps. You say nothing. But inside, you feel something twist. Not because you want credit, because you saw this coming. You saw them take notes when you spoke. You saw the little look in their eye. You knew, and you said nothing. Here is what happens to your nervous system over time. You suppress your observations. Your body stays in a low-level alert state. Cortisol stays high. Your sleep gets lighter. You are always collecting data but never releasing it. That is why you feel drained after social events. Not because you talked too much, because you watched too closely. You were a spy in your own life, and spies do not get to relax. Nietzsche said, "He who fights with monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster." For you, the monster is not evil. The monster is numbness. You become so aware of everyone's hidden motives that you stop trusting anyone, including yourself. You start to wonder, am I seeing the truth, or am I just seeing what I expect to see? That doubt, that constant self-questioning, that is the heaviest part. But there is a way out, and it is not by seeing less. It is by learning a skill no one taught you. The skill of closing the loop. Research in emotional intelligence shows that high awareness is not the problem. The problem is lack of what psychologists call cognitive closure. That means your brain keeps a question open long after others have closed it. Example, your friend cancels plans. Normal person thinks they are busy, closes the loop, moves on. You think they are busy, but also their voice sounded different. And last week they posted a sad quote, and 3 months ago they mentioned feeling trapped in their job, and also they laughed too hard at something that was not funny. You connect dots across time. That is rare. That is valuable. But only if you know how to use it. Otherwise, it is just noise. Loud, exhausting noise. Let me give you a practical shift. Next time you notice something others do not, do these 3 things in order. I want you to remember this. Maybe even write it down after. Number 1. Ask yourself, is this observation useful right now? Not true. Useful. Truth without usefulness is just noise. You can be 100% correct and still cause damage by speaking. So ask, will saying this help anyone? Will it change anything? If not, keep it to yourself. Not because you are hiding, because you are choosing. Number 2. If it is useful, say it gently. 1 sentence. No explanation, no evidence. No, I noticed that 3 weeks ago also. Just 1 soft sentence. For example, hey, you seem a little off today. No need to explain. Just wanted you to know I see you. That is it. That is the whole thing. You are not solving. You are not fixing. You are just acknowledging. Number 3. If it is not useful, write it down. Keep a small notebook or a note on your phone. Call it observations, or the noise, or whatever feels right. Get it out of your head. Do not carry it in your chest. Your chest is for breathing. Your head is for thinking. The notebook is for holding what neither of them needs right now. Why does this work? Because your problem has never been awareness. Your problem has been holding everything inside without a release valve. Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You cannot stop seeing the truth, but you can stop treating every truth as an emergency. Some truths are just data. Let them pass. Some truths are just patterns. Let them sit. Some truths are just stories your brain told itself. Let them go. Here is a powerful reframe from modern psychology. Awareness without action is just suffering. Awareness with action is skill. Awareness with silence is peace. You get to choose which one you want in each moment. Let me tell you something most aware people never admit. You are not afraid of being right. You are afraid of being wrong. Think about it. You see a pattern. You feel certain. But what if you are wrong? What if your friend is actually fine? What if that colleague did not steal your idea? What if you are just projecting your own fears onto everyone else? That fear keeps you silent. Not kindness. Fear. Research on hypervigilance shows that people who constantly scan for threats also have higher rates of self-doubt. Because your brain knows it has been wrong before, so it works harder, and harder, and harder, until you are exhausted. Here is a simple test. Think of the last 3 times you were sure something was wrong with someone. How many times were you completely right? Be honest. Maybe 2 out of 3, maybe 1, maybe none. Now think of the last 3 times you stayed quiet because you were not sure. How many of those times did you later find out you were right? Probably most of them. That is the real trap. You are right often enough to trust yourself, but you are wrong often enough to doubt yourself, and that in-between space, that is where your energy disappears. Nietzsche also said, there are no facts, only interpretations. Your awareness is not a camera, it is a painting. You are adding color based on your own past, your own fears, your own wounds. The sooner you accept that, the lighter you will feel. You do not have to be sure. You just have to be curious. Instead of, I know something is wrong, try, I wonder if something is wrong. That one word changes everything. It opens the door instead of slamming it shut. You might be wondering, if I stop reacting to everything I notice, will I become cold? Will I stop caring? Will I lose the one thing that makes me me? No, you will become selective, and that is the real transformation. Here is the psychological trick I promised to leave until the end. It is called the Zeigarnik Effect, discovered by a Russian psychologist named Bluma Zeigarnik. She noticed that waiters remembered unpaid orders perfectly, but forgot them immediately after payment. Your brain remembers unfinished tasks more than completed ones. Right now, your brain has thousands of open loops. Every unspoken observation, every hidden motive you never confirmed, every feeling you swallowed, every I should have said something, every why did they do that, every what did they mean by that tone. That is why you are tired. Not because you see too much, because you never close the loop. Here is how you close it. 4 ways. Use any of them. 1. Say out loud to yourself, I notice that. I choose not to act on it right now. That is a close. You do not need a solution. You just need a decision. 2. If it matters, schedule a time to think about it. I will revisit this feeling on Sunday morning for 10 minutes. Until then I am putting it down. That is a close. Your brain relaxes when it knows there is a time set aside. 3. Ask the person one calm question, not to confront, to understand. Not, why are you lying to me? But, you seemed a little quiet earlier. Everything okay? That is a close. Either they open up or they do not. Either way, you did your part. 4. Write it down and physically close the notebook. The act of closing creates a signal to your brain. Done, finished, stored, not forgotten, just filed. Most aware people never close any loop, they just collect. And collecting without closing is the definition of anxiety. Anxiety is not too much thinking, it is unfinished thinking. So let us bring this home. You are not broken. You are not too sensitive. You are not imagining things. You are not crazy. You are not too much. You have a nervous system that evolved to protect you, and it works very well. So well that it never learned to turn off. That is not a flaw. That is a feature. It just needs a manager. Here is what I want you to remember. Awareness without boundaries becomes self-destruction, and awareness with boundaries becomes wisdom. The difference between a tortured overthinker and a calm observer is not how much they see. It is what they do with what they see. It is whether they close the loop or keep it open forever. Friedrich Nietzsche also said, "To live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering." Your meaning is not to fix everyone you understand. Your meaning is to use your understanding to protect your own peace first. Then, from that calm place, help only when you are asked. Only when your help is wanted. Only when you are not sacrificing yourself to save someone who does not want to be saved. Marcus Aurelius said, "You always own the option of having no opinion." Think about that. You can see something and choose to have no opinion about it. That is not denial. That is freedom. So if you have ever felt tired because you see too much, please do not try to see less. The world needs people who can hold pain and beauty at the same time. Your awareness is not a sickness. It is just a muscle that never learned to rest. And now you know how to let it rest. One closed loop at a time. If this feeling of being too aware has ever made you feel lonely, I made another video for you. It is called The Art of Saying Less While Seeing More. In it, I show you exactly how to speak your observations without pushing people away, how to be honest without being heavy, how to protect your peace without losing your depth. You do not have to shrink your awareness. You just have to learn the language of calm honesty. That video will teach you the 3 sentences that make people feel safe instead of watched. Subscribe if you want to stop feeling exhausted by your own mind, not because you change who you are, because you finally learn how to carry what you see. Watch that video next. I promise you, it will feel like taking off a coat you forgot you were wearing. You saw something today that others missed. That is okay. Now, close one small loop, just one, right now, before you click away and feel the difference.